Welcome to our Survivor Samoa season review here on the channel. Almost 15 years later at this point. This is
Wow.
a long time coming. All right. I'm here. I'm a big
It's a
fan of
landmark season.
Survivor. I've seen every season of Survivor. Alec, I've been taking him through since the beginning, and we're 19 seasons in. That's right. About to start our 20th
That's it.
season, but
Yeah.
before we do, we got to wrap it all up with our comprehensive review. We'll talk about the season, the pros, the cons, uh, and also tackle a lot of your comments. A lot of comments. This is perhaps the most, and like even on the it's not like an amazing amount of comments, but the comments they did leave just had a lot of points to bring up. So we're gonna get into all of
Well,
it. All right.
okay.
There's a lot to talk about, especially when you get out of Survivor Samoa, and it just elicits a reaction out of people, for better or for worse. So I want to know, a week after watching the finale, how are you feeling about the season right now?
I still feel a little a little betrayed. I don't know. I think there's some cleverness to doing it that way. Um and I
Hmm.
think if you know what you're looking for, it's probably a pretty satisfying, like a rewatch of this is probably pretty satisfying to watch it. Um but as somebody going in as a fresh viewer, it just ends up being very frustrating at the end because it doesn't feel like the ultimately it doesn't feel like the hints at who the winner might be were telegraphed nearly enough.
Hmm.
Like if you're just sitting down and watching this every week and not analyzing it hardcore like we are, you wouldn't necessarily pick up on some of the things that were telegraphed
Right.
like 6 weeks ago. You're not going to pick up on or remember that very particularly well. Um, so I think it's like I'll give them points for being bold in terms of you build a whole season around this one person that ultimately doesn't win. So that's a bold choice. But it's ultimately a frustrating one because so little of the rest of the cast gets a chance to really shine. And I feel like there. I get that he's a extremely charismatic and dominant kind of person. But there had to have been something more to have it and play in there to give us. And it just feels like there's a little something else missing to really kind of stick the landing in terms of trying to make it feel like the kind of the satisfying greed, pride. It's almost like pride comes before a fall, or like greed can only get you so far, or that kind of thing. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, so like I think overall it's still, I mean, Russell is just like a force. He's a but yeah, it's still ultimately like the ending does sour a lot of that for me.
Hmm.
Anyway, it's just not a particularly satisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
And to them it's like, all right, when you think about what they have to do, then is like they then have to maneuver around that and try to edit that. And it's like they did have a sort of a Herculean task ahead of them in order to try to do that because of how much of the game that he was dominating. So yeah, I'm sorry, it's a mixed bag for me. I think like there's a lot to like about it, but I ultimately found it quite frustrating in the
Hmm.
end, and I still feel frustrated when I think about it.
Okay. So we've talked about a little bit in the past, like ending of a season doesn't always make or break the season, but I think maybe some of the best seasons are like entertaining throughout, but also have a satisfying ending. It's just like a cherry on top. And the fact
Mhm.
that there is that lopsided edit to it, to where there's not too many people to root for along the way. So it is like you're either in for the Russell show or not. And he is obviously doing a lot, and so that's entertaining in itself. But it is very different from a traditional Survivor season, in that you want to see a more
Mm.
dynamic cast and things happening. It's not just like what will he decide to do next, or And we've had some dominant seasons in the past that at least have more going on, more people to root for, and what have you. And it does struggle in that
Mhm.
department. So it's either a critique of the cast itself or the casting department that they had just like a weak cast that they got nothing out of except for the one really good casting choice, or it's the editing where they did have good stuff that they left off the table just to highlight Russell more, and then narratively the ending doesn't hit as hard. I think for sure, like they show his like hubris and like him getting really overconfident and stuff like that. It's just they don't give us
Yeah.
enough to make it um super satisfying, like to really want him to lose, because it's like he's the only person there. It's like, who are we gonna root for? It's like we gotta root for Russell.
Right.
He's there. He's doing everything.
Yeah.
You gave us even the faux 4 or just like, they're there. You hear a little bit of a pitch here or there, and it's just like it's new sauce. So it's like, what am I gonna do?
Mm.
You could hate him. You could passionately hate him and still be like, but give it to him. And you could just be out of spite. All right, it would be funny to see him lose, but narratively, it's not the most satisfying. I do think it is definitely. I think it's actually funny, a funny season on rewatch, because the entire season is him being so cocky about everything. And it's like, this does not matter to anything, Russell. You're just gonna lose after all
He's
this
just gonna
this
lose.
stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's a cruel irony, I guess, to that, right?
yeah.
To that it's like he's like, oh, he's building all this. The season's all built up only for him to just lose in the end.
But we'll definitely get more into
Uh,
that because plenty of people have stuff to
yeah.
say about that part of it, and
I
it
can
is
I can imagine this being a pretty polarizing season,
yeah,
like even more so than some of the other ones that we've had.
it's a polarizing,
So
particularly the result too. It's like you can't talk
yeah,
about this season without that being the first thing that comes to mind. It's like Natalie beat
yeah,
Russell in the end, and that's just like the
right.
talking points of the season. It's like, well, it's the season with Russell, and it's also season where Russell loses dramatically. So it's those
Hmm.
two things are the biggest pillars there. All right, but we'll go through the season a little bit, and along the way, we're gonna give out some of Alec's awards here. We got the pre-jury gem. We got Alec's favorite player, cutie of the season, and the MVP, which has been tabulating all season long. And ultimately, a week from now, we'll do a ranking of this season. We'll add it to our ranking of all the seasons as well as the winner. Okay, so let's get into it. First off, it'll have the DVD cover with this. Here it is. It's
Hmm.
there's absolute robbery for Mick does not make the cut.
Yeah, yeah,
Russell
yeah. We
Swan
do.
got his
We do
way
have.
in there. Yeah, the other Russell
Yeah, we got the other Russell and Rambo Shambo's in there.
and Laura.
Um, and Laura.
Laura.
I guess Laura, that kind of makes sense because she's sort of like the prickly force on that other as part of the Galoo
Just give
tribe,
us
but
Brett
like
Cheesin right in the middle. Come on, just give it to us. Just Brett being there for no reason would have been funny. But yeah, Laura's like, yeah, one of the more notable Galoos. But even like, you don't even see much of what her storyline is. Like, it's just more of like, all right, we'll take your
yeah,
word for it. She's some sort of like strategic force, or she's like a threat or whatever. And
right.
that is just what it is. Like, I almost would have preferred Monica for at least what she gave to the season, but
Mm. Hmm.
you know, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel with the Galoos, and of course Mick, you have to take him off of this. He's feckless. You leave him off the box set.
Yeah, it's feckless.
The Jason,
That's
Jason with
great.
the nice little look off to the
Yeah,
what
the
are we
look.
looking at?
That's pretty great.
Russell cheesing, Natalie in the middle. All right.
Russell cheese. Yeah,
What are you happy for,
classic.
Russell? They should have had him in the reunion. The shot of him there, just
Yeah,
miserable.
where he's
So
yeah, he did not look happy throughout any of that.
this was filmed in June to July of 2009, aired September to December 2009. All right, let's get into the pre-merge. Now, Alec, I know there's a
Right.
lot of gems in here. Who would you give your pre-jury gem of the pre-jury? Uh, we got.
I mean, I'd give it to Russell. It's
It's
Russell. I
always
mean,
going to Russell, isn't it?
it's
Everything.
it's always going to Russell. It's always a Russell.
Yeah.
I mean, like looking on here, like I was you got to give it to Ben. I mean, just give it to Ben. Just
God.
look at him. There he is. Ben might be one of the worst. I think we both agree that he might be one of the worst,
Yeah.
our least favorite people on
To date,
Survivor.
from what we've seen, he's certainly my least
Yeah,
favorite in 19 seasons.
yeah,
He's my least favorite player.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's.
Um,
I didn't tee this up in the beginning, but yeah, I did do a predictions video that I do before each season now, where I tried to
mhm,
predict how Alec will who will award, and then ultimately where the season and the winner will fall in the ranking. And
yeah,
I didn't write it all down, but I'm certain it was Russell Swan. I mean, I can validate
yeah,
that on the footage, but
yeah. I mean, I think I really he was kind of the engaging part of Galoo. I think that um I don't know, it was always fun just to kind of see because he was like the one of the only engaging people
he would have been fascinating to
on the whole
see
tribe.
make the merge and see how he would have like
Yeah,
handled Russell.
right. Yeah, that would have been just such an interesting that's a whole different game, I feel like him going if they were able
Yeah,
to
and like
go in even handed there.
and would they have made the same decisions they made? Like, the Eric vote that ultimately sets them in this trajectory of disaster?
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting thought. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I don't know. Ultimately, yeah, the numbers were so much in Galoo's favor anyway, but Russell was so much of like the team leader guy. I really would have been fascinated to see
Yeah.
if they would have
Definitely.
cannibalized him or or would they have rallied behind him here. But yeah, the pre merge is it's not my favorite.
No.
It's essentially
Well, we
the
had
story
2.
of Russell Hantz wreaking havoc and
Yep.
bulldozing
Yep.
his way through, like, and you get anybody who says something against him essentially is axed before they even get a chance to shine. So it's it's a tough watch. And then
Yeah.
Galoo.
Well, we have 2
Mhm,
2 evacs here too.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's like
and Galoo, they weren't given much. They were winning, and then they had the one tribal council where Yasmin gets voted out. It was very unexciting, and then, yeah, Russell gets taken out. So then it's just like, where's our rooting interest in Galoo? There is none going into the merge, absolutely none. And so they had to try to scramble to make something happen, but they don't really. And yeah. So I mean, early on, the first episode, you get Russell doing his chaotic. He's the impish fiend, you called him in the first episode.
yes. Yes,
He
he was. He was
burning
he was
socks and
impish
telling and weaving
pouring out people's
lies.
water, weaving lies and pouring out people's canteens and
Yeah, he's like,
what a
you can
what a
control
little
people's minds the
monster.
way they think. He's making final two deals with everyone, and he's got
Mhm.
his dumb. He comes on really strong with his dumbass girls alliance, as he says it. Like, it's like no sugarcoating anything with this guy.
Nope.
Just ultimately not too much in the pre-merge to
No.
talk about.
Well, I love it here also. This is just a laundry list of people who wronged him too.
Mm-hmm.
We got Betsy who didn't, uh
Who clocked
Marissa
him?
who
Marisa.
Marisa. I'm trying to remember what her fault was here, why
She
he
went up
threw
to
her hair in the
Russell
trash, but
and
yeah.
she's saying, "I just don't entirely trust you, Russell. I want to be honest with you. I don't
Oh yeah,
entirely
she
trust
just straight up
because
said, "I don't trust you."
essentially
Yeah,
she saw
to
him
his
going
face.
up to everybody on the island scheming. She's like, "What are you saying to all these people?" Is essentially where she's coming from.
Yeah.
And I remember that interaction with Ben and Ashley, where it's like, what did he say? Where he's like, Russell didn't tell me that. That's all I'll say. When it was about some information.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. I didn't hear it from Russell. That's all I'll say about that. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, I mean, Ben is the real downer, like, because that's also in the episode where obviously we need to highlight the Russell finds a hidden immunity idol in such a
Oh yeah,
fashion,
that's right.
you
In such a huge
historic
fashion. But then we have
fashion.
Ben being a saying a pretty horrible thing to uh
S-
Yasmin.
several horrible things.
Several horrible things. It wasn't just one thing. That's right. And he said a couple pretty bad things, and
Just
yeah,
blatant
and it was
racism like we've never seen on Survivor. So he could have
yeah,
even put a damper on the big like historic moment in the pre-merge here. So yeah,
right. Because like a lot, I mean, a lot of like the old like this kind of like you know the other bits of like racial commentary that we had in other parts of the of Survivor that have been over time. Most of that was perpetuated um primarily from like the older generation who just kind of like sort of
mm-hmm.
like a well they kind of it's like nobody technically gets a pass but they kind of get a pass because they're just like they're old and passe and their way of thinking about this sort of thing is not like isn't really up to the times, but he has no excuse. He's 28 and
Yeah.
he's from LA, for crying out loud.
He's
Like
the
what is
bar
that?
manager. I don't
What
want to
is
see that
that?
bar. I don't want to see that bar. I don't want to see what he's
What
got
is that?
going on hanging up in that bar.
No, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't want to see what he's got hanging up in that part. He's just got like swastikas hanging up in there.
Yeah.
It's just,
A lot of different flags, that's for sure. But
yeah. He's got his hood, his KKK hood. So. I allegedly we don't actually mean any of this.
no, that's
I'm sure
coming
Ben
up
has
in
learned
the
his lesson.
later in the
No,
review.
that's coming up. Oh
The
no.
pictures of
Oh
his
no.
bar and what's hanging up. No.
Uh oh.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, anyway.
I actually don't have anything spicy
Well,
for post content
okay.
to share for the season.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Cast
Oh.
stays giving nothing,
They
even in life.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
But
But yeah,
yeah, that's
this
tough.
Russell Swan. I liked him. Like it was honestly like it was kind of a heartbreaking moment of like
I mean,
time. It was
yeah,
also kind of like scary. It was legitimately like tense and scary. Like I haven't really felt that way in Survivor, like quite like that, except for the last time was maybe Australia. Like it was really like kind of a really
hmm
serious thing that happened there. Like he like his heart stopped beating.
yeah,
Like it was
it's like
like
the
wild.
scariest that we've seen for sure. You know,
Yeah.
like
Um yeah.
pretty crazy stuff. I mean, they got good
So
footage of it too, and it's like it's
yeah.
funny that it's like in the blindfolded challenge, so like most of the people don't even see like his symptoms
Right.
or what's going on, and then
Right. And like even he didn't realize how bad it really was until he
hmm
saw it like on TV. That's
that was
crazy too.
that was a good moment in the reunion. Yeah, where
Yeah.
he talked
Yeah.
about like, oh, he was just watching, he didn't even warn his wife about it, like there's gonna be some serious
Yeah.
stuff you're witnessing, but he's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
seeing it for the first time is something
I
else.
was like, wow, it was bad.
But it's
Yeah.
like Russell is like
Yeah.
that classic tribe leader type, is like, I'm all about keeping the
Oh,
team
big
together.
time. Yeah.
And I forgot they
Yeah.
did artificially make them pick a tribe leader for each
Mm.
tribe. Russell Swan and Mick couldn't be further in the spectrum of their leadership qualities.
That's it.
you know,
Yeah, Mick was a leader apparently.
yeah. Russell took it
I
very
don't remember.
seriously, and
Yeah.
to his detriment at times, he was rubbing people the wrong way. He was overworking himself, which is what they teed up to be leading into that
Right.
situation, the challenge. But
Right.
it would have been interesting to
Not
see,
drinking enough water.
like how it would have ended for him more organically.
Mm.
See him actually get voted
Mhm.
out and what that would have looked like would have been interesting. Like, because he's been so much of a team player, you go into a
Yeah.
merge with like, say it's the same numbers, like 8-4. It's like, what's he gonna do with it? Is like just stick together and get Fofo? And I wonder if they Galoo would have just revolted, or maybe could have kept him on track here. And then we've got who knows who as the winner, Laura. You know,
Yeah, the whole season is going to be edited completely differently too,
yeah.
like around that. So it's interesting to see just like how all those little things stack upon each other. So it's like when they do have everything all at their disposal, that's when the editing team can come in and craft good television. That's kind of the goal. So
Mm-hmm. And so coming into the merge, look at this. Galoo, 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 galoo. This makes no sense. This actually just makes no sense. This chart of who went
yeah.
out, but like, imagine the season where we get the Fofo 4 coming in after what Russell did, and then they just get picked off one by one, and it's like Russell was just like doing all that scheming for nothing. You know, it's like the beauty of this season and where it shines is the fact that they came in with no numbers and they got there. And if Brett didn't win that immunity, it would have been a nice, cute, full line of glues all the way to Fofo. But
Mm,
you know, that's the beauty that you couldn't script, because you would think on paper they would be decimated. And Russell, you know, with Natalie with the Eric vote early on, kind of like getting their glues spun around a bit, because that's the problem. You go in with having barely voted each other off. There's so much tension building that they haven't had a chance to release. So it's like, oh, we
mm,
have so many numbers, or we're comfortable. So now we can actually maybe take out the guy we're annoyed by, how he's talking to us and stuff like that. And then that's where you leave yourself
right.
open to then the big idol moment with Kelly, who just is the person who got idled out by Russell. That's that's who she
Hmm.
is for this story. And then it sets the steamroll up. Well, then we get John to flip on the tie against Laura, and we vote out John. And then we still got Shambo on side, so then it's Dave, and it's Monica, and then um, Brett won immunity, so we can take out Shambo, I guess. And then Brett wins immunity. I guess we have to take out Jason. You know, there was some talk of voting out Natalie here for
Yeah.
her challenge strength, coming back to bite her almost against Brett, the
Yeah.
force that he
Yeah.
is.
Right.
We need all the men for this. You know, we can't stop him.
A boys only club.
And then we have the tense final challenge between Brett and Russell, presumably for the win, you would think. But
Mm,
it's essentially Russell is Natalie's champion here, who gets
mm.
her the win in the end. But yeah, so what is it's a weird reversal, because you look at that and it's like, oh, that's a very rote season, like almost a begonging. But then you look at what the numbers they came in with actually, and it's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. It's like,
Yeah, it makes like no
and
sense at all.
then there's a point in the season where it does kind of become a little rote. You know, once we get
Yeah.
past like the idol play, flipping John, and then we vote him out after.
Right.
After
And then
that, there's a couple votes where
because
it's just like, you know,
Sham yeah, because Shambo is essentially on our side, so
yeah, she's the honorary fifth Foa, but she
right.
was always playing for fifth place essentially, and Russell had convinced her, along with everybody else presumably, that they're final two to the end, and
Mm.
that's what made this happen. You know, this structure. Any other like moments we're gonna highlight in particular?
I think you more or less got the gist of it. I mean, the fact that Russell found a hidden immunity idol, was it 3 times without clues? It's just absolute
Yeah,
insanity.
one time with the
Um,
clue, kind of actually, the
oh, it was one time was he sort of had the
that
clue. Yeah,
video
that's right.
clue. Yeah,
Right.
on your sprint,
Um,
whatever it's called, the sprint flip phone.
yeah. Um, yeah, I did think it was funny that all of a sudden we have Brett, who we had heard literally like nary a word from. All of a sudden, when he starts winning immunity, it's like Brett's a real
Yep.
force to be reckoned with, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Well,
We
that's
haven't heard of.
yeah.
Who is this
If
man?
nothing else, that's another like mark against the editors. Like, what is happening here? We just introduced this character in the last couple episodes. That is the threat to win. If he
Yeah,
won one more immunity, he just wins. And we were just introduced to him. It's crazy.
right,
You know what I thought about when watching
right.
this season is that it would have been much less exciting because we had Russell with the back-to-back idols essentially.
Hmm.
Luckily, he was able to ingratiate himself more to where he didn't need to play that third idol, and he just held on to it the rest of the time. But I'm just imagining he just had to use it
Hmm.
again, and then just goes finds it, uses it again, and it's like okay, that
Yeah,
that would have been gotten old probably, and he probably would have just kept finding them.
yeah,
But
yeah. Probably they kept hiding him. He keeps finding him.
but who's your favorite
So
player
you
of
have
the
to go
season,
bar.
Alec?
Oh, come on. Do we even have to go through it? So it's Russell. It's Russell Hantz. It's
Yeah.
always Russell. It's hard. It's hard not to pick somebody other than him. I mean, I think you can make the case for Shambo. I could see somebody maybe making the case for like Jason. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but 'cause Jason had some fun moments here and there. But
Not big Mick
I mean, the
trimming.
whole big Mick trimming. No, unfortunately, no. Dr. Mick. No, it's Russell. I mean, he's the dominant force of the season. Finding idols, controlling the game, doing the unthinkable, flipping people, having people that will go and flip people for him. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's
Mhm.
just it's a fascinating and fun game of Survivor to watch. Even like pretty much up until the last episode, and then you get rug pulled.
Mhm.
And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, what?
I said this in the
Um,
preview video looking at the
yeah,
cast, like, who is his favorite player? Well, I can't imagine being anyone but Russell, but maybe Shambo as, like, if you really passionately hate Russell. But if
yeah,
not, then it's like, it's hard to really, it's just all Russell all the
yeah.
time, you know?
Because Shambo is fun. I mean, she's a fun
Yeah.
like as a secondary, as sort of maybe the secondary main character of the season, or the secondary like she has probably the second most screen time. She's fun. I'm glad she she made the season,
Hmm.
just that much more entertaining.
The
So
trajectory of the season wouldn't
yeah,
be possible without her. Like, she was the defector they
yeah,
needed.
right. So
The fact that they didn't see that, and it's like, we're gonna vote out Eric. If you're gonna vote out anybody, why aren't you voting out Shambo? Rambo Shambo time, like
yeah,
person who's like been out on you. Like
right.
you guys like they did such a bad job with Shambo in the pre-merge, and then the
Yeah,
guys
they just didn't
they
care
did
about
this
it at all.
fraudulent election where they quickly are like, oh, Shambo's the leader, and they're like that'll get her on our side. Now she'll be appreciated, and then it just didn't do anything for him because she had so many. Remember, she loved when she went over to Foa that I feel like that
Yeah,
little trip over to the other tribe was probably pretty transformative for her
yeah,
too. It's like, oh wow, you can
very much so.
there's life where
I
I'm
like people there.
appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, really, the one of the big stand-up moments too, to sort of point out, but it's just like the Eric that whole vote against Eric is just like
Hmm.
that's the huge turning point of the whole season, was the fact that they were able to get that done.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
big stuff.
And then yeah, so there's a point in the middle, and then they kind of do it in the episode where they batch Dave and Monica together because that's like the most boring part.
Oh yeah, yeah, that
Uh,
was so weird. That was oh yeah, that was another thing. We had like a double vote out episode, but it was like it was very awkward how that was
so
done.
rushed.
See, here's the thing. There was well, it was let's see. There was only one day between when John and Dave were voted out, but then Monica only had 2 days. So I guess
Yeah.
is that why they're still trying to stick to like 3 days? Each episode's going to cover about 3 days or
I
so.
don't know. I
It's yeah,
I just see it as they saw like these are a couple boring votes and they'll bash them together, but they've just never done that before. There's not really precedent for that.
yeah,
We've gone
yeah.
through weeks of boring votes before, but
Right,
it
right.
was weird. So it might have been a weird scheduling thing because of like the medical evacuations or something. I don't know
Hmm.
how it really worked
All
out,
the
but
rain, all the rain too. Did the rain ruin some of the challenges? I felt like something get canceled because of the rain at one point too. But
I don't remember.
it rain for like five. It rained for like 5 days straight. That's also another stand up moment. Just the weather being
Oh yeah,
super horrible for like
in the
particularly in the it's like
pre-merge, yeah.
I think it's the week two. Yeah, week two of them being out there would look seem like it was pretty nightmarish.
There was
So
that one episode where they literally didn't get like confessionals of everybody's like perspective leading to the vote. It was just like
yeah,
cut to a
a
shot of
voiceover.
them with a voiceover like talking about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was for dramatic effect or literally like we've just been in camp all day and we're not going out in the rain. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah. Um, and then of course the big thing of the season, Mick comes in. I don't know what Mick was thinking in this game. Like I don't know what he was thinking in his head. Like I'm this big grand winner story he's been painting in his mind, but had no
Hmm.
leg to stand on in that final travel. So sad, and then you get a sad, boring Mick edit the whole season as a result. So, but then the very
Yeah.
dramatic finish with surprise Natalie, though Russell didn't have the best poker face in the reunion there. He didn't really, I don't think he cared to sell it for anybody.
No.
When he got a couple votes, there was no happiness or gratitude for those. It's just still
Hmm.
miserable. Or what's next? Survivor Superlatives. All right, so there's just two others, right? It's Cutie of the season. Who is it?
It's Natalie.
Natalie. Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
I said it was probably Natalie.
Yeah. Yeah, Natalie, she's just cute. She's cute the whole season. She like she really only had like the standout, kind of the big standout of because she was the one that sort of helped orchestrate the Eric flip, right?
Hmm.
Um,
She got in with the
but
girls and got them
yeah,
kind of thinking that
right,
way. Yeah.
right. But other than that, I mean, she was also just kind of a fun presence to have around. As little kind of as she showed up.
She killed a rat.
Um,
Everybody.
yeah, she killed a rat, and then we had the whole. All of a sudden, it was the whole her and Brett like pseudo romance kind of going on.
There's no
Prayer
romance. You
prayer
wanted there to be
warriors.
romance.
I kind of did. I wanted there to
Platonic
be
prayer.
something
It's
going on here.
platonic praying. That's what it was.
It was very platonic. Yeah,
And
it was wholesome. But
all right, so that's what I said. And MVP of the season.
mhm,
Every episode, you've been awarding MVP for whatever
I wonder who it
reason.
could be.
Who could it be other than Russell? Russell,
Yeah,
my final tally out of the 16 episodes, he had seven of them. Okay,
it's not as dominant as you might think,
but
but
if you look at the actual
that's
chart,
still
it's like probably like seven and then like two, one,
and it's
one.
one one one
It's the
one.
kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like
yeah.
I think we actually mentioned in the episode. You asked if you ever gave an MVP to Natalie, and I said no, but I
Yeah.
did find there was one, episode 4,
Oh, okay.
I think it was. And so there was one
Oh,
for
okay.
Natalie. There was like two for Jason, um, maybe a couple for Shambo, and then there was one for Brett on the Brett episode. There's one here or there. Monica when she wrote it out. So
Yeah.
ultimately, it's definitely
Yeah.
the most though we've seen of anybody's.
Oh, yeah. Huge. Huge.
Huge. All right, the edits. Let's talk about the
Yeah,
edits.
it's the controversial. It's very controversial.
I want to break this down. I got some charts for you. All right. I
Okay,
thought there would be
interesting.
a more reliable, like this is definitive source for it, but this is the one I found. Someone had commented on when I asked for comments, and they had slightly different numbers, so I don't know which one's right, but it still reflects the same. These are like I'm going to show some confessional trackers. So people have done gone through the Survivor seasons and counted how many confessionals each person has. It's not a perfect reflection of their screen time, because some people you get more time just interacting with other people or just around camp. You might see them more. In other ways, it's not a confessional, but it's usually a good indication of it. And so I wanted to show some of previous examples of previous seasons, and then show this season to see the difference. Right.
Okay,
So,
this will be interesting, I'm sure.
Some previous seasons. Here's Tocantins. So there's a lot of numbers, but really you're just going to look at the sum, which is the total confessionals. So JT 71, Steven 61. Next up was Coach 58. All right, Coach has a super dominant character, having not even the most. You know, you got Aaron with 30, Taj 32, and Brendan down here randomly with 34. So, okay, that's one season.
Okay.
We got Gabon, which is a little weird one. We got Sugar with 51.
Yeah.
Maddie with 39. Oh, Ken with 44. Crystal with 34. And then up here, Bob has 31. Susie has 25.
Yeah. Randy 47 for
47
Randy.
for Randy. So it's actually kind of pretty balanced, fairly balanced, you know.
Yeah, I'd say it's the loudmouth people kind of get it. It's maybe a little low for a quote unquote winner, but
look at GC down there with 20.
Wow! Yeah! Whoa! Yeah! Oh, holy smokes! But yeah,
that's to be expected from like not the most dominant winner, though.
Yeah, that's still a fairly decent still a fairly decent spread
Sugar
there.
is kind of our protagonist for a lot of it, so. And then Ken and Randy, obviously, big characters. So. And we got Micronesia. So we got Suri, 52. Eric, 39. Amanda, 33. Parvati, 32. This is pretty evenly balanced too. And, you know, people were like surprised that Parvati had not that many, but it's like she did have a lot of stuff outside of confessionals too. So
right. Very heavy for Suri, but that's to be expected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty even spread overall.
I think I have one more before this. China, okay. Todd 60. Courtney with 23 is actually surprising. Yeah. She
that is surprising.
She seems more of an impact than that reflects. Amanda 40, PG 43, Denise with the personality she is 33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd with 60, that is a lot, but Todd was also like there was a lot of
great narrator. Yeah, he's a strategist.
Yeah. Right.
But now let's look at Survivor Samoa, which is a glaringly different chart.
Oh, not even close.
108 for Russell. Next highest is Shambo with 39. Jason with 33. Mick with 29. We're not even at Natalie yet. We still have all the way down here. Eric 18, Russell Swan 17, 16 for 21. Laura, and John at 21. Natalie has 15. That's the lowest, if not the lowest. It's the lowest we've seen for any winner of the first 19 seasons at least.
See, Brett only had 12. 12.
Our winner had 15. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
That is insane.
15
that is
to
actually
108.
Because she's always sort of there, but yeah, she never really had like a lot of moments to like say a whole lot.
Ashley, remember Ashley and Liz? They had 10. They had 10. Who got voted out in the pre-merge of that tribe, and then she lasted all the way to the end and got 5 more picked up 5 more along the way. Crazy. Dave Ball has 16.
Yeah.
Right. She's got more than Kelly. We'll give her that. 8 for Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly's with 8. Dominant 8.
And then yeah, so it's
uh,
glaringly different. It's very apparent. But I also did want to highlight after this some of the other previous most dominant ones that I didn't just show,
mhm,
because I just showed the most recent few seasons we watched. I want to highlight some of the
mhm.
bigger confessional accounts before Russell. So here's the Australian Outback where Colby had 98. Someone else had
Okay,
a
that's a lot.
different number. I think maybe for the next one, so but it's something like this. 98. It's a lot. You know, he had a lot of confessional time. Keith was 70. All right.
70, that's a lot too, though.
Tina 69. Nice. Jerry was
Nice.
60. You know, but so just like even that's not. It's definitely way better than what we had with this in terms of the
That's still more
balance.
even. It's still heavily dominated on those top three in particular, but
Mhm.
there's still a decent variance
But
there.
just on pure numbers, like I think he was the next highest so far from the charts that I
Mm,
saw. Because another chart, a commenter had said that the highest was actually this one, which would be Rob's sister Nino. So on this chart, he has
mm.
94. So, but obviously, he's a big narrator of that season. So
Yeah, the
that makes
narrator of the
sense.
season for sure.
Yeah, with Jenna's
Jenna
the
had a
next
lot though,
57.
a lot.
Yeah.
Still, even though you know we we still we did maybe that's why it's pretty easy to say it's like she's not a great survivor runner because we get a lot of time with Jenna. We saw a lot of
Hmm.
her. We
And
heard a lot from her.
that's multiple times over
Mm.
Natalie. She's like over four times the amount that Natalie
Yeah.
got as a winner. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Here we got Sean. I mean, it's not a 1-to-1 because you don't know the amount of confessionals comparatively,
Mm.
or I haven't been looking at that number. But just worth noting that Shauna had 16 confessionals in this season. You
Right.
know,
Right.
she's the one
That's
who said, "I'm falling apart." So that's she gets more than Natalie does. So interesting. Pros and cons of the season we talked about pretty
Yeah.
heavily. The biggest pros, you know, Russell obviously is an iconic character, um, reinventing in a way the way the game is played with the idols, and you could say the end is shocking. You know, it works for you, or it doesn't, but it is shocking.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
the cons we were saying, like the casts other than Russell, or what they showed of the cast, or how they edited some things, and then the pacing at certain points not the strongest. The pre-merge not
Yeah.
the most exciting. So you know, it's hit or miss.
Premier's not the most exciting, and yeah, then that like that one weird episode where we had the double vote out that was uninteresting. I guess as we had little content to do, and yeah, a lot of it just felt like going through the motions
Yeah.
for parts in the middle there.
So it's a complicated season. It'll be
So,
interesting to rank because there's
mm,
complicated feelings with it. You know, like it's fun.
definitely,
It's fun. There's like really interesting stuff in there, but it's like, how do we
there's an
feel about it as a
interesting
season
energy
overall?
to a lot of it,
Yeah.
but
So questions and comments. We got a lot in terms
all
of the
right,
question department. Every time I'm going to be uploading a video, asking for your comments for the upcoming review. I gave you guys a nice solid week to comment, and you guys are very passionate. You had a lot to say because I think there's just it's easy to talk about. Like a lot of comments just in the Russell Natalie of it all, and then of course everything else. So I'm just gonna pull that up and see what we can do. Try to get to as many as I can. As always, I don't. I won't necessarily read them all if I don't feel like now is the appropriate time to talk about things or what have you. All right. So this is a random Rex commented. Fun data points. This is where he had different numbers, so I'm curious what's the
oh,
most
okay,
accurate. He said Russell has the largest confessional total of any player thus far, 108. The runner-up is Rob's sister Nino and Amazon with 104. So slightly different, 10 more
Oh,
than the one
interesting.
we saw. But Natalie has the fewest
Hmm.
of any winner with 15, with Bob 31, just above her. Um, on the subject of confessionals, amusingly, CGI Brett was the first confessional this season. So CGI Brett is apparently a joke that's gone around. I'm told someone said I should bring it up and include it in the slideshow, but apparently it's something that started through the Funny 115. So we haven't quite got there yet, but
Okay.
I think it's essentially the idea that like he was edited in like late into the season, like he's like CGI because he just comes out of nowhere.
CGI.
I think that's kind of what
Yeah.
this. They found the same thing humorous that in like episode
Uh,
like 13 out of 16 he's there and he's the threat to win. So
it's like, what? Who are you?
I think there's some memes of like it's like a green screen behind him and like Shambo in like a scene like he was put it in post. Yeah. So, but he was the first confessional of
That's
the
really funny.
season, is what Rex is saying. That's
That's
interesting.
crazy. That's insane.
And then we just don't hear from him. Like,
If we just don't hear from him for
Mhm.
12 episodes,
So
for for
yeah.
for 3 whole months of TV, 3 whole months of watching TV, you don't hear from him.
You said, does this season suffer in the edit as a result? If so, are there any other seasons you feel could use a re-edit? You know, Pearl Islands would have been an interesting one
Hmm.
to bring up because it was like Rupert's story for a lot. I'm sure Sando was probably under edited compared to Johnny Fairplay and Rupert to some extent, but
Yeah, but that season overall, I still think is
still
just very
good.
satisfying.
Yeah.
Even with that, yeah, it's an interesting question. Nothing's springing to mind. I'm sure we probably have talked about stuff before about that the edit being or some of the editing potentially being with certain people being under edited. I know we've talked about that before, but
And it's interesting, like even with how dominant Coach is in
yeah,
that season, he wasn't like
yeah,
doing Russell numbers, but also he did have a lot more time just focused on him in general.
yeah,
So screen time might be
yeah,
different. Like his whole
right.
scene with an exile, like I don't know what that amounts to, like one or two confessionals, but it's really a whole sequence, and so
Yeah, that's one of the most beautiful things they've ever
yeah.
had on Survivor.
But I wouldn't have
Um,
changed that editing. This is the season that
no,
is the most glaring example. So for sure, yeah, we've talked about how it suffered in the edit for sure,
yeah,
but it's tough. They just, I think they were high off of this Russell drug. They got like you almost you could never predict something like that happening. It's like a dream in heaven for a producer of a reality show to have like a chaotic figure like that actually stay in the game. Because you watch the first episode, he's like he'll be out in a couple episodes. This guy's like in over
right.
his head, like doing
He's
too
a powder
much.
keg. He just feels like a powder keg, but he kind of like eases up a little bit on that and wreaks havoc in other ways.
Yeah, and it carries that
So
energy throughout the season, and it's just the Russell show
yeah,
from then on. So
yeah,
that's another reason why it can be so polarizing. If you don't like Russell, he's not the
yeah,
nicest either, you know. So it's like
right.
you can enjoy
He's
him
an
as a
abrasive
character.
figure for sure.
He does call a lot of women dumbasses. Not people don't like that, you know, how he talks about certain people, but he's like, yeah. So it's tough to say how would you have edited it differently. Obviously, you would rather it would ideally you would want to see more of Natalie, you know, but
Hmm.
again,
Just like
that's
a little more,
yeah.
you know.
That's the advantage that the producers have over us, though, is because they don't
Mm,
we don't know what they could have put out there. We don't know what they left on the cutting room floor. So
right.
it's just, we can just say, "Oh, Natalie was boring," so maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
they might have had nothing at the end of the
Or
day.
she might have had gold. Like I
So
imagine some people on Survivor come off and they're pissed, like they had this awesome moment that they knew was coming up, and a great
and then
confessional
it
they had
never
or
shows
something.
up.
It's
Yeah.
like meanwhile Russell did everything. Uh, damn it. And then Jeff comes in with his narrating ass, so like previously in Survivor, Russell did an absolute domination.
Yeah.
How different is this season if good Russell never gets medevaced?
Yeah, we sort of talked about that too. I feel like there would have been a lot more of a I don't even necessarily see evil Russell. I'm not sure he could make it too much further past the merge because I think with other Russell, yeah, I think it all depends on who gets immunity idol, but at that point.
Right? It's like, and does good Russell, even try to fake it with the Fofoa? Like, we haven't
Yeah.
seen him have to interact with the other tribe in any meaningful way. Like, would he have schmoozed it up with them, or would it just been like, yeah, sorry, this is how it's gonna be. You guys don't have the numbers. We're a team. And then
Right.
Russell at that point would have had to whip out the idol, you know,
Mm.
and then because he had the idol at that point, right? That first vote, yeah, he had the idol, so he could have
Yeah.
played it, but he's
Yeah.
like, no, I think we got this. And then,
Yeah.
so at that point, he might have had to play it. Maybe good Russell gets taken out in that fashion because he's like the glue,
Yeah.
and
Maybe. Maybe. Yeah.
they put the votes on him. But it's also possible that he rubs people the wrong way in a similar way to Eric, and he gets Eric'd in that spot. Who knows?
Mm.
But it would be
Yeah, and if that's the case, Eric might have a shot at it because Eric was kind of like he was sort of the Galoo champion for the early part of it. Like, it seemed like he was sort of
presumably
there.
Kelly was in a really good spot, but she gets idled out. Maybe
Yeah.
she never gets idled out in that way because you have to get. They might have gone for Russell first, maybe,
Yeah.
and then Eric. But well, if they were counting on Shambo, then maybe she wouldn't have wanted to
Right.
go
And
for Russell.
Ru- right. Maybe Russell would have kind of figured things out with her too. Good Russell figured things out with her. Maybe
Right.
got her back on Galoo's side. But
Would have been more interesting, like in that way. Like I don't know which way would have. It
yeah.
could have been definitely a lot less interesting if it just was like, oh, he keeps them more in line, and they just pick off
Right.
OFO. But it's definitely interesting to think about. Chase Ferrier commented, "There really isn't another
Hey.
season of Survivor that's framed like Samoa to this extent. I know you guys are going to talk about this, but would you be interested in more stories of how blank lost or won instead of the more traditional edit? Do we like this story of Russell's downfall and something like that? Would we like to see more of that?
So I mean, I guess you could make the argument that that's what Outback was, right? To a degree, like Colby was
Right.
dominating the whole season, and then Tina wins.
But he wasn't like a
Um,
strategic force in the same way. So
right,
even that's
right. No, definitely not. Yeah, maybe I don't know. I think you gotta sprinkle them in because, like, especially if in a case like this, like it's just it's almost too different. Like it's almost like it's practically like a different show, like in some aspects, just because it is so dominated by one person. I think it is interesting to see it framed in that kind of way, but I think that sort of comes to the detriment of the rest of the players at the game. And I think one of the nice parts about Survivor is feeling that, like, to some limited degree, everybody who comes out has a shot at it.
hmm
Um, Obviously, you don't want to give the goose away, right away as an editor. Necessarily, you don't want to just completely give the game up, but you could at least. I think variety can be the spice of life. So if you have a lot of really interesting stuff to use that to your advantage. And I think there's even some of that you could do even with a heavily edited season that is focused on, like, one person's fall or one person's victory. But um I don't know. I think it's like sparingly. I think probably if it's done this heavily again, it's gonna it might. I just don't know if it'll work again quite the same way. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we did have Boston Rob and All Stars was a similar thing.
Yes,
That
very true. It's very
and that
true.
was much more satisfying. And I remember you had the opposite reaction to that ending because it was like, oh, that's a fun uh, surprise ending. It's a little different
Yeah,
because they actually teased it better, and you have that whole dramatic
I think
final tribal with everybody
yeah.
laying into him too. So it teased it up a lot better.
I think it's framed really well in the sense that like yeah, he's like burning everybody pretty much the whole time.
Hmm.
And then yeah, you get sort of the satisfying final tribal where everybody grills him. Whereas with this one, the final tribal was like maybe one of the most boring we've ever seen. It was almost nothing was there practically.
It wasn't definitely as much
Um
vitriol that you could feel.
yeah.
And what's also
It wasn't
different is
fun. Yeah.
because Boston Rob was dominant the whole time and he was cutting people when seemingly in ways you didn't have to. Russell,
Right.
in the beginning, you could say he was just like doing whatever, but those were the people not on the jury. So it's like once we get to the jury phase, Fo are down in numbers. So, like, from our perspective, Russell's just doing what he has to do to survive and get by.
Yeah.
So it's not the same of like, oh, he's just cutting people. He's like making deals and going back on them. It's not the same way because it's like you're coming from an underdog perspective, weirdly. So it's
Right.
weirdly then not as satisfying in the end when it's he gets comeuppance for playing so hard in that context.
Right. For being
Especially
an underdog and coming back and
when in Final
then losing.
Tribal there wasn't as much of like you could definitely tell there was some bitter feelings, but not in the same way.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Boston Rob was the closest thing because we've had other people come short that have been dominant, like Rob Sesternino and Johnny Fairplay. They both got voted out in third by the one person who won final immunity. So it's not as satisfying in
Yep.
that way. You didn't get to see them like it's not like they got raked over
Right.
the coals and then lost. And so it's a different story in that way because it's like we're dominant the whole season, and then you just lost the one challenge, and Jenna knew better than to keep you, you know.
Right.
So it's,
Right.
it's, it's
Yeah.
not as juicy of setting it up, but it's kind of what it ends up being just by them being so strategically dominant. But yeah,
Mm.
he also says, regardless of if Russell deserved to win or not, the show frames it as if he did. Does an unsatisfying ending ruin a season? Did that ruin the season for you? You think, or does it just knock it down
It's
a
so
peg? Or
I think it knocks it down a peg, and I think again, I think it goes back to how heavily telegraphed it was that he was gonna like from the beginning. It's all about him, and it's like if you sprinkle in maybe some more doubts about it. Obviously there's some moments like the idol play where it's like yeah, there's some things working against him, but it's kind of smooth sailing after a while to get to the end for him. So like the way he's able to champion and get rid of Galoo, only for that to just not come to anything in the end because someone else gets voted
mm-hmm.
as sole survivor. Um, it doesn't like completely ruin the season, but it definitely like I think it knocks it down a peg. I don't think it like because you know Survivor because I think we've had some seasons where it's like it's kind of like a not the most interesting result or finale, but the season as a whole is still really enjoyable.
You like
Like
the
like
Amazon?
Sandra's not the is either Amazon or even Pearl Islands. Like Sandra's a solid winner, but I don't wouldn't put her in like the high echelon of
Mm-hmm.
winners. Um, but it's still a very good season. It's still probably
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite seasons. So
And there's more, at
it's right
least,
up
and at
there.
least with that season, again, it's like this one's so different because at least with that season,
Yeah,
you saw Sandra what she was doing, and she was a lot more active
interacting
and
a lot. Yep.
yeah, she's like a character throughout the whole season too.
Right.
So this
Right.
season, like it would have hit a lot different if we saw, because Natalie was there. To her credit, she was on the right side of the vote every single time with Russell the entire season
Hmm.
from the beginning. and she's there, but it's Russell. He either did everything or gets all the credit for it. And so if it was like a dynamic where it's like Natalie is very instrumental in a lot of this, and she is a lot of like part of the strategic conversation, and we saw that a lot, and then you can see she's being intentional about letting him take the heat, and then you get the ultimate conclusion. Then it's like, okay, we totally saw that. We get it, and it's like,
Yeah, like I just vote with him. Like I just going with him. He's
mm-hmm,
gonna lead me all the way to the end.
mm-hmm,
It's like I'll let him do whatever he needs to get me ahead in the game. Something like that.
right.
Anything.
She
Literally, I'm
did.
sure she said something
They
like
did
that.
something like that, but it was just a crumb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just like one time. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Chase also says, "Do you think winning in the pre-merge and coming into the merge with numbers can actually be a disadvantage, or were Galoo just terrible strategists?"
um, it's just based on pure numbers, it shouldn't be a
Mm.
disadvantage. I think everyone just got outsmarted by Russell. I think at the end of the day, it just the outwit, outplay, outlast. I mean, Russell was, and Natalie, especially with the Eric vote, but like especially Russell orchestrating this whole thing to to get rid of Galoo. You
Mm-hmm.
know, his charm winning over Shambo, and just like defying all odds. I think it did not seem to me that they got rid of the people that seemed to have a plan early on, and then they were able to just sort of get rid of the people that weren't particularly good strategists
Yeah, they were,
on Galoo.
and they weren't unified. You, like I was saying earlier, there's a certain thing when you don't vote each other out for a long time that there's so many
Yeah,
fractures forming that haven't been resolved. Whereas on Foa, they're more bonded than ever because they've voted out all these other people, so they've stuck together. They have that loyalty. And then even Jeff
eh,
had a good comment at one point where he's like, Foa can come in and they know they have to stick together. Whereas Galoo, they have too many options almost. So it's like
yeah,
almost Foa, they have to stick together just by survival sake. And so
right,
they're more and more bonded and loyal to each other as a result. And then Galoo are
yeah,
just
and it's
confident with their numbers, so they're just like, well, maybe we'll get cute with it.
yeah, and it's interesting because I think Jeff made a sort of comment on it one time where it's like, you guys are a totally different tribe without Russell now.
Hmm.
Like this tribe without Russell seems like
You
you're
need
just
the leader.
something completely different. Yeah, so it's like it's interesting because like Russell was like sort of, I know he was sort of rustling some feathers, rubbing people the wrong way a little bit, but I feel like even despite that, it was still like the steady hand at the helm that they sort of needed. And
Yeah,
yeah, without him, it's like everyone's just able to like fracture out and try to look for greener pastures, and then that just bites him in
yeah.
the aft quarters.
Meanwhile, Fo's got the structure to where like Russell's essentially the leader, but they all kind of think they're confiding in him more, and it's like a
Mm,
one-on-one loyalty situation. And then Mick is obviously not like we saw no leading from him whatsoever. He just had the title, and then had to make a decision here or there on who like sent Russell over there, or whatever it was, or
mhm,
something like that. These little decisions
mm.
they built in for the leaders. But yeah, because then even when you got Shambo as the replacement leader, like that wasn't a real thing that people wanted, so they weren't actually
Right.
that did nothing. So yeah,
Yeah.
so there's definitely some bad strategists, but there is a mental thing coming in with all the numbers because you're already thinking 18 steps down the road
Mm,
about like how can I better position myself with these numbers, and can I gotta get these people
mhm.
out that aren't going to be good for me. Meanwhile, Fofo is like, I just need to get to the point where I can be in the end. So,
Yeah. Right.
um, favorite Russell quote off the top of your head? You have a favorite Russell quote?
I think that throw him in the trash
Yeah.
is my favorite. Use him up, throw him in the trash. Hey,
Throw 'em in the
and when I'm
trash.
done with him, throw him in the trash.
Yeah.
That one's really good.
What about
Um,
Liz is so stupid?
I feel like I had some
What about
um,
that little punk bitch? No, he has some random out of pocket comments like that. That guy is 110 pounds.
oh, my artwork is done. when
Shit.
he did he
Yeah,
played the idol. That was pretty funny.
I'm sure there's so many.
There are a lot. He had a ton. I'm too sly. Wait, did he actually say
I'm
that?
too sly. Yeah,
I might have just I'm too sly.
I'm too
I'm too
sly. Yeah, he
sly.
said it like that. He's like, I'm too
Yeah. Yeah.
sly. Like I
Too
think he was talking about
sly.
going into the merge. Like,
Yes. Yep.
oh
Mhm. Yeah, cuz Russell's like, "Come on, we need to merge. Let's go."
yeah, I wrote that down
Um
too. Yeah, I'm too sly. Episode 8.
yeah, I'm too sly. Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot. Russell is there. There's a lot of Russell isms for sure.
Oh, he's got a lot. He's no Mike Tyson. He's Brett.
Okay, yeah.
That's another
He's
pretty good
Brett.
one. That's in the He's Brett. That's at the finale. He's, Brett is just a little punk. uh, yeah, a lot of great Russell quotes, but I think the throw him in the trash is my favorite. But I do like that. That I'm too sly and my artwork is done. Those are
Yeah.
some solid ones too.
Uh, Chase commented also, I personally would argue that Russell's jury management to the other people's faces wasn't terrible. A couple of people were just bitter and that spread through the jury. Most of the mean stuff he says is in confessional. Was there a reality where he does win this season, do you think? I wonder first of all, in a Shambo Mick Final 3, what happens there, I wonder. You know?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
But also,
Uh,
but if we just go with this, like, could he have won back their favor in some way? Um,
Yeah, I kind of agree. I like that was sort of my feeling going into the vote collection is that like I felt like it wasn't like maybe the greatest performance ever. You know, it's no
Mike Tyson,
it's no Mike Tyson. It's Brett. No, I was gonna say it's no what's his name?
Todd,
It's no Todd. Todd did a really good job. I was gonna say also what's his name? Their man in the was it Palau?
Tom,
No, not Tom. Crap! Why can't I remember? I can never. Oh, uh, um,
Earl,
no,
Yule,
no.
Chris.
He's the one that has the basic. Chris. There we go.
Okay,
Chris.
yeah.
I was just like normal guy name. I don't remember. Can't remember. Yeah, Chris. Chris is maybe the most legendary
Mm-hmm. It's pretty legendary,
of
yeah.
all time. But it's yeah. So it wasn't like it's not like on that regard. But I would say overall, given how people felt bitter, I think he did. I would agree that he did a pretty good job.
I do
But I
wonder.
don't know. It's so stacked. It's so stacked against them. Like even coming into it, just because there's so many glue on there,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe coming in swinging about like how good of a game he played with this particular crowd wasn't necessarily the right move. But um,
I do wonder,
but
like,
yeah.
if there's more we didn't see. Because I do notice here
Mm,
and there's moments where he just like talked to people a certain way that I was like as if like, oh, your answer to everything is me. Like you should come through me if you need help or if you want to
right.
stay in the game. Why aren't you talking to me? You know, this kind of
Mm,
way you talk down to people a little bit, and then you'd have the moment like Monaco where it really got to him, and he's just like had a whole tantrum about um what she had said and the stuff she talked to him about, and he was storming
oh yeah.
around. Probably
Right.
not a good impression. Doesn't leave a good impression
You're
there
right.
either. And then like even in tribal council, he'd have random things here and there that are not like he's like clearly emotional about something, or he's just like so much like I'm playing the best game, or I'm just like how amazing he is, you know.
Yeah, because he has a tendency to talk himself up a lot. So I have a feeling that he is probably doing that around camp also, and that people don't like that. People do not like it when you are openly talking about how great you are.
Yeah,
That's not usually a good look.
because we saw that so heavy after he made the final three, and how he was talking
Yeah.
to Mick and Natalie was
Yeah.
ridiculous. And so it's like if
Yeah.
any of that seeped out at all beforehand in other conversations, then like yeah, that doesn't feel good. The way he was just talking to them, like I think they're gonna love my story. I think I got these votes,
Yeah.
and it's like man, I dominated this game, and it's just like everybody else is my
Yeah.
puppets, you know. And they're like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
great,
Yeah,
Russell.
you guys better not screw it up. He's like
Yeah,
grilling them
he's
on
like,
how they're gonna
you gotta have more prepared than that on what to say. You know, they're gonna
Yeah.
ask you.
Yeah.
You were just riding my coattails. What are you gonna say to that? Uh, so it's like I have a hard time believing that that's all contained just to after you got there. But yeah, even and they still had more ammunition too. Like the way, like I was saying, how he talked about Shambo to Mick, and he's like, "Oh wow, I've never heard
Yeah.
you talk about her like this." So he's just like, how much he
Yeah.
hates her. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
if any of that got out at certain points, not a good look either.
You're right.
So so it's
Right.
like yeah, a large majority in what we saw of were in the confessionals, but I have a feeling that people got that sense. You know, if someone hates you
Mm.
that much, you might get a sense of it after a while, especially if they feel like they don't need to work with you, like he didn't with a lot of these galoos after a point. Um,
Right. Even just that Monica tribal council could have set people off the wrong way, you know?
yeah,
Like, even just that just leaves an impression that it's like this is the only thing I've seen of this guy for a while, a few days, and
just
like
him being
then now
cocky
when she's going back and
and like
yeah,
furious about these little comments and like all right, now I'm gonna keep this idol as a souvenir. You know, all these little things. Yeah.
mm,
But was there a reality where he would win? You know, it would have been nice to see a real humble moment maybe from him where he's like, you know, it
yeah.
would have come off as the most inauthentic thing ever. But he'd be like, you know what, I just want to apologize for
Yeah.
everything I did. I felt like I needed to do it. You know, I came in my back against the wall. Um, and I thank, first of
Uh,
all, I want to thank my FOFO members so much for all they
right.
contributed.
Yep.
And thank all of you for, contributing your different ways.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I was ever disrespectful to you. These are just not words I can
That's right. You're
imagine
all
you
wonderful.
saying, but maybe that would have helped. But
Might have helped, yeah.
probably would have need more of that again earlier on. Just a little more
Yeah.
grace with
I think
how
I think
people went out.
right. I think that's probably ultimately what did him in
Because ultimately,
even
like,
more earlier on.
you want to vote for someone, you don't, it's very hard to get someone to vote for someone they don't like to win $1
Right.
million. When, by the way, they have
Right.
millions of dollars, which he let get out very stupidly. That was very dumb. But it's very hard to do that. So, like,
Mm.
you start talking about how I'm amazing and I deserve, like, this is my game. I dominated. You know,
Mm.
I'm not going anywhere. And he's cocky. It's like maybe I just vote for this girl instead because that would be great to see his reaction to that. And she's a nice girl. So Chase also said Exile is finally gone after running out of steam like 4 seasons ago. Outside of the coach episode,
I know.
thoughts on
I
that and
know.
the leaders and sending someone to the other tribe twist?
I like both of those things. The tribe leaders always seems like it's kind of a goofy thing. And it seems sort of like just putting an automatic target on your back, and a lot of times it can be. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's always an interesting thing around it because because different groups of people will react to a leader in very different ways. I mean, heck, we even see with Foa. Did anyone ever really act like Mick was the leader?
Mm-mm.
Never once.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the tribe, like with Russell, he's leading the whole Galoo. Like he's just like he's the leader. Um, so I don't know. It's to me, it's always an interesting dynamic to see like how that works. Sometimes it's kind of like it's not always like the best thing because it's like it's sort of when it's sort of forced upon them, but it can kind of
Mm-hmm.
help. I think maybe one of the reasons why it's done is it can kind of help just like lead the tribes down a certain path.
Mm-hmm.
It can just sort of help lead them to a certain direction, anyways, in terms of where they want to go as a tribe, which can be helpful. And the visiting, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think that's always an interesting thing. I've always found that really fun when that happens because
Yeah, you get
just
a little.
it's just a little hint of insider information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah, the leaders, I think I didn't mind it in the sense it's one of the most tame twists, and we didn't get any
hmm,
broken, stupid twists in here, like the
right,
message in a bottle and
yeah,
stuff. So
right,
I'll take that. But it is definitely
hmm,
like it's silly. Like why even? There's no
yeah,
reason to even do it. It didn't add anything to the show, and if anything, it's just more artificial than like literally the since the beginning of Survivor, we've seen people just come out as leaders
right,
naturally and often grading on people. In some cases, not like a Tom sort of situation, but I think it's better if you
because
just leave it, let it be more organic because like literally you saw how it was different.
yeah,
Like they actually treated Russell as a leader on Galoo, whereas Mick wasn't really the leader. They just needed someone on paper to be the leader and make these random
right.
decisions. So it's
Right, and because yeah, it's like yeah, it is kind of weirdly it's weird artificial. I like it's fun in the sense that it gives them like maybe some semblance of a direction, but like yeah, it's yeah, people will just naturally inclinate to being in a leadership role. And then like it's also leads to some weird exchanges sometimes where people take it like way too seriously, like how dare you not be the real leader that we deserved.
yeah.
It's like some people like really hold it against like even with against Mick, like you were like, I never saw you lead once. And it's like,
Yeah,
well, why did he
he didn't
have
ask
to?
for
Like,
that,
what do you mean? What are you
but
talking
because that's
about?
what Jeff has always been pressed about a leader. Because even you go back to like other seasons, Gabon, where he was like, "You guys need a
Yeah.
leader. You gonna pick a leader? All right, GC, everybody elected you leader," and then that was the whole storyline from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was a whole thing after that.
But it's like, by the way, the way in which the leaders were chosen this season, horrible, horrible. They it was just on first impressions. They didn't know anybody. Who's gonna be your
Yeah.
leader? All right, guy with the jacket on. The guy who looks like just a basic white guy. That's our leader. Okay. So like they had no
I'm
influence
glad
in
I
it.
held in I'm glad I was I'm glad I held that in when I was taking a drink. Basic white guy is the perfect descriptor of Mick.
Yeah, that's the only reason you get like
Yeah.
what did he do to earn
Yeah.
that? He didn't do anything. For better or for worse, you might not want to be the leader and it's like, oh, I look like I could be a leader.
Uh,
Okay, great. Now I'm the
yeah.
leader. And that immediately paints a
Yeah.
target on you. You should let people paint the target on themselves if they want to. By the way,
Right.
a woman never would have been picked as leader just by default because that's literally how they chose. Is like who's the toughest looking guy who looks like he can give us orders. So it's like, all
Right.
right, who are the two male leaders? Who's it gonna be? And that's what it was. And then just like, all right, you guys make these arbitrary decisions. You gonna pick luxury or this for this reward? You know, who are you gonna send to the other tribe? Shambo. All right. All right.
Yeah, right.
Just let them do it on their own because we literally see Galoo probably would have authentically Russell would have found himself as leader, maybe gotten even more ire for that because he would have probably asserted himself as leader. Maybe or maybe not. He would have taken more of a back seat. That would have been his choice. But also over in Fo, it's like, oh, you don't really need a leader. we'll let Russell make all the decisions, kind of, but we won't acknowledge him as the leader. And that's just how our
Right.
society formed. All right. A few things. Chase Ferrier says the show went all in on WrestleMania, airing commercials calling him evil and spelling out his name. Okay, I didn't know
Really? That's
that.
amazing.
This is a random fact that I did know, but worth mentioning that he's lifelong friends with Boo from Survivor Fiji, Russell,
Oh, really?
and
Oh, okay.
that's
Boo.
Boo was instrumental in actually getting Russell on the show. Like it was through
Okay.
Boo he got in there. So shout out to Boo. All
All
right.
right. Boo. Oh, didn't scared you.
Um, he's saying that apparently they actually applied him for a short-lived show called Pirate Masters, but he didn't get on. And it got canceled after one season. They got on Survivor instead.
Pirate Masters?
Yeah, this is a show I heard of. A reality show lasted one season,
Was
but
that like that short-lived? There was one. There was like a one-season NBC show where it was like they tried to make it like National Treasure. It was supposed to be like, oh, you're going to this place. Like they made it like a blend of Amazing Race and Survivor, and it was.
yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
And they had
Yeah.
I remember they had these like hokey like watch this video like watch me like the
Mm-hmm.
way it was like all done was so hokey and it
Pirate
was
Masters is
really
probably so
funny.
good though. I would like to watch that if that's somewhere.
Yeah.
It's
Pirate
probably
I mean
so.
that just sounds like an awesome that sounds like an epic name.
Yeah.
Pirate Masters.
Um.
Yeah.
James from China was also in similar social circles apparently, and they knew him as well.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
And apparently Russell wasn't a huge Survivor fan, but was watching Tocantins, and he says that after watching Coach, he wanted to make himself a character like that. And so, all right.
He did a damn good job.
And apparently, okay, Russell walked around in the pregame holding a Bible. Yeah. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
He's a pastor's son, by the way. I don't know if that's real. Still don't know if
Oh.
that's real. No, I'm saying from
Oh,
his.
you don't know.
Remember he mentioned it. He said
Oh, yeah, he
said
did.
that to Laura, but
Yeah.
I didn't believe it. I don't believe a
That could
word he
be
says. So
I don't believe it.
he was manipulating him from the start.
Yeah, maybe.
That
Yeah, I
guy
don't know.
never
I don't
tells
know
a
if I believe
lie.
that. If he was a pastor son, he would have been making way more weird, obscure biblical references. Even if he's like one of those people that's like, I rejected my parents' faith or whatever. It's like
Uh-huh.
you grew up in the church. Like a lot of my friends, I have some friends that are like me, are still part of the faith, but then I some friends of mine that aren't. But like I'll mention something and then we'll go like down a tangent of like a weird obscure Bible thing, like so it's like you can always count on them to
Yeah,
know like a
yeah. Where
weird
was
thing to
Russell and
just draw from.
the prayer warriors? Where was he?
Yeah, where's the prayer warriors?
He
Yeah,
should
come
have
on
been in
now.
there. Russell just snuggles up in between them, like, by the way,
Yeah.
Corinthians. I don't know.
Yeah, First
Like,
Corinthians. Yeah.
oh, Russell. Hey, I'm a pastor's son, by the way. Yeah. So I totally believe he's just holding that Bible just to get in their heads. He loves it.
Yeah.
According to Russell, so okay,
Mhm.
let's have that qualifier first. According to Russell, Laura and Kelly walked around Ponderosa and talked a bunch of shit about Russell and made everyone dislike him more than they did. I mean, I believe it,
Okay.
but also Russell's not a reliable narrator either. So, but I believe that
Yeah,
something like that would
how do we know
happen.
that?
But I could see it.
Probably did. Yeah.
Um,
I see
I
that
mentioned
happening.
this before that Shambo had told Russell that he had lost months later after he thought he had won.
Mm.
He left that island. He was
Mhm.
like, "All right, just won $1 million. That's it." So it wasn't shown in the show, but Brett, not Mike Tyson, was very close to Laura, and he was actually in the middle of the boys versus girls dynamic on Glue. I'll take your word for it. He
I'll take
was
your
in
word for
there.
that. Yeah, we have to. We have to. Yeah.
He said, "I do love the season, but I don't have that many questions because it's a very simple story that comes down to Russell losing despite dominating, and Natalie winning despite her following him." You guys will cover the big points. Thank you, Chase. You gave us a lot. You gave us a lot.
Yeah,
Still.
yeah, it gave us a lot. Thanks. Thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, I can see, like I said, I can see both sides. I can see people really liking the season. I can see people just bouncing right off it. So,
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see here. We got a big, meaty comment from Josh. I'm going to preface this by saying the Russell v. Natalie debate has been going on for over a decade at this point, so there's no clear correct answer to who should have won. I'll share my opinion below, but I can already see there are contrasting opinions from other commenters, so it'll be more of a fun debate than a definitive analysis. I'll start by saying that going into Final Tribal, Russell was never winning. Even the feckless Mick had a much better chance than Russell. Russell's ego was way too large, and he needed to go against people like Jason and Shambo, who were much smaller jury threats to even have a chance. Russell fundamentally did not understand Survivor as a social game. As has always been talked about a ton, Russell gets way more screen time than anyone else. You, as an audience member, are meant to side with and love Russell simply because the show doesn't give you enough time with anyone else, besides maybe Shambo, to latch on to them as a character. The show wants you to think Russell is Rob because they want to encourage people to get out there and play like Russell. If we had 20 Micks and Natalies out there, the show would be boring, even though they are playing a better overall game than him. The season had a decently sized increase in ratings due to Russell and was the first time Survivor was relevant in popular culture since the Cook Islands. So the show had a strong financial incentive to make him popular and edit out his less flattering moments.
I feel like they still showed some pretty less flattering
Yeah,
stuff
that's
about
true.
him, but there's
Yeah.
just something about that drawl makes him charming, you know?
The show also just takes his word as truth a lot and doesn't give anyone else the chance to even defend themselves. If you looked at the recap episode you skipped or any of the deleted scenes they posted online, you can see that other people besides Russell are giving their strategic thoughts and insights in the game. So the narrative that only Russell was playing the game is frankly bullshit. Well, Russell definitely was the strategic leader of the Fofoas. The idea that the rest of them just sat there and let him do everything is not really true. In particular, they definitely left stuff out from Natalie that would have made her look more deserving. Then we get to the issue of Russell as a person. This is where there's a lot more ambiguity, as we have Russell saying Galoo is making up negative stuff about him as a person and them saying he's a bad person. There's a lot of talk from the women from both Fofo and Galoo about how Russell made them uncomfortable out there. There's also talk of his unnecessarily aggressive behavior to anyone who tried to question him and his horrible hygiene. The problem is,
It's
despite Russell's immense
horrible
screen time,
hygiene.
we actually see very little Russells interacting with the Galoos who don't vote for him to win. So really, it just comes down to who you believe in these debates. And based on a lot of Russell's behavior both season, I do have to side with Galoo on this. I know Zach's a Big Brother watcher, so I'm sure he's seen just how easy it is for the show to edit genuinely horrible people into nice, fun people. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Big Brother, you get a different insight because you get the 24/7 live feeds that you see everything, and then you get the edited show, and often you get like people who've said these not so great remarks on the live feeds, and then there's like the perfect golden boy edit, and they're like the fan favorite of the season. So
Uh-huh.
there's definitely editing magic you can work. As a side note, the whole they only said the mean stuff in confessional excuse is usually never true. Unless you have Brian Heidick levels of emotional disattachment, how you feel about people bleeds through, especially in Survivor, which is already a tough and stressful game. We can see on the show Russell's a pretty emotional guy, so I have a hard time believing that excuse. The final aspect of this that is important to discuss is the idea of Russell's idol finding. In particular, there was a strong sentiment among Galoo that the producers may have been planting idols for Russell to find. While I don't believe this, the idea that the producers may have been rigging the game for Russell was definitely a part of the reason why some Galoos wanted to fight back against this. I realize it's rather long and you may not end up reading all this, so I'll just summarize all what I said in a brief statement. Survivor is ultimately a game that combines your social and strategic abilities, and the social part is the most important part. Russell lost Survivor because he was rude, unpleasant to be around, and misogynistic, while Natalie played an average strategic game while being a genuinely nice person to be around. Okay. How about that? Let's see.
That's an interesting take. I think I Yeah, I think I'd push back on a little bit just because like we don't. There's some of this that we just don't necessarily know. I mean, a lot of it is we're
Hmm.
having to take like stuff that we can't see. We're having to take we obviously have to take Russell with a grain of salt, but I think there's a certain degree we also have to take what other people say with a grain of salt too.
Hmm.
Everybody has a different perspective on things. Um, that being said, more corroboration can sometimes, add more credibility to things. But like, if it's somebody who's already like an abrasive person, if a groupthink is a thing, so if you have a group of people, they can
Hmm.
convince themselves of something even if it's not true. So there's some degrees of that. However, I do have to agree with at least part of what you're saying, where like I think like uh and I think this is something that like I love getting caught up in the strategic stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. But it is true, like the social element is something that like it's the most important in the sense that it's the trickiest thing to nail. Um, you have to because people like everybody's different. People will like people for different reasons. Sometimes people will respect you if you are an abrasive, blunt person, but oftentimes a lot of people don't like that. It very much depends on the jury, the people that you're playing up against. Um, and but I do, and I also have to agree. Like, we didn't really see him interacting with most of Galoo for at least a lot, the majority of what we were seeing. So, and I think I have to agree that, like, yeah, it's very likely that a lot of that stuff was bleeding through. That he was not compartmentalizing his emotions like like Android Heideck was able to do.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's a very insightful comment. I think
Yeah,
that's great.
and
Yeah,
the perspective of them thinking that the producers were rigging it for them. I do think
yeah, that's a. I think that's an interesting. That could poison like that could really like poison your mind, like especially if you're at Ponderosa and you're like everybody's talking and be like, we got to do something about this. Like, this is crazy. This guy
mhm,
keeps getting this stuff. They keep and they're all in their mind. It's like the producers, we got to revolt against this in some way. So it's almost like even if that isn't like the maybe the necessarily like full reason on which you're basing your vote, that in addition to everything else that you've been seeing will definitely add onto the emotion of like why you want to vote against that,
yeah,
and why you'd want to vote against Russell, because like even the hint of that, something like that happening in the back of your mind, and then being sort of maybe exacerbated by talking with other people about that. Yeah, I can believe that
I do
for
remember
sure.
Laura at some point did an interview where she was like pretty felt certain that they had planted the idol.
Hmm.
I think it was something about the bridge. She was certain that they planned it for him. But I don't really know where
Hmm.
she got this from. I don't remember the details or like how if she's not there when he's finding him. I don't know where she would really get this other than hearsay
Right.
or just conjecture. But yeah, that's definitely something that could poison the well, like you said,
Yeah.
against them. Because it's like
Yeah.
last thing we want to do is reward someone who just got there because he got idols that were given to him, essentially. You know,
Right.
and a good point about the Foas too, where it's like it feels unrealistic that someone would just make all the decisions and they would be doing nothing. That's just what we're
Right.
presented as the
Yeah.
story is like the cleanest way to present it, I guess. You know, if he's
Yeah. It is one of those tough things, is like we as the audience members can like if you're just flat watching it, that's what's presented. I mean, I think even when we've been talking about it, like throughout while we've been recording this, it's sort of like we can kind of surmise that there's likely stuff that we just didn't see that happened. Like, surely there was something that these other people were doing. Um, Maybe this is also a reason for us to maybe start watching the bonus episodes. Um,
mhm.
so especially if there's maybe a little bit more insight in those.
Yeah. I think this is an important conversation to be had and to keep checking ourselves with when it comes to reality TV. Because even the best reality TV, it's always they're spinning a certain narrative, and it
Sure.
makes perfect sense what he's saying that they have incentive to make Russell the end all be all because you want more people like Russell rather than a Natalie as a player. You know,
Yeah.
just more entertainment. So I get, I get it. There's a lot of good points for sure.
Yeah.
Some other non-Russell versus Natalie stuff. The Survivor fans and also the show too were horrible to Natalie at the time. The fans basically bullied her into hiding because they would relentlessly be cruel and threaten her online. She got like some of the worst backlash because you get all the vitriol of the most passionate people who like the biggest Russell defenders.
Right.
Because he doesn't really help matters either when he's like, "Can you just give me the title?" And talking about how she doesn't
Yeah.
deserve it, and
Yeah.
it's like, so that just
Yeah.
fueled them to go against her. And yeah, I know the fan base was pretty toxic at the time, and there's much more.
Yeah.
She's viewed in a much
It
more
was like
positive light now.
2009.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2009. So like I don't even know what's going on Twitter at that time. I mean, it's like a wild west out there.
Mm-hmm.
Probably it's in its infancy. Facebook is, this is Farmville ages. That's what's going on right now, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I know
um,
it was tough, and yeah, she
yeah,
basically went off the grid. Like she was one of the most like least online people. She just like took her money and was you didn't really hear from her much after that. So because she was never really
wow.
like accepted by the fan base at the time, so it's just like, all right, I'll f off with my money
See,
then.
and and again, that's something that could have been fixed in some way if there was more in the edit
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like that's when
So she's
that
just
even
left
of
to
it
take the
in
brunt
itself
of
is,
it all. Yeah.
yeah, that's almost the case in point there that the season was edited in a way that's maybe not fair to her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not necessarily, you can't necessarily force the studio to take responsibility of what people are doing
Mm-hmm.
online. It's like I'm not necessarily saying that, but at the same time, you do also like you do like nudge them in the direction to feel that way, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Apparently, Brett and Laura did know each other a little bit before the season. That's just a random thing he said. I don't know what the backstory is on
No.
that. Do you think
Okay.
needing an idol to survive a vote makes you a weaker or a stronger player? Needing it
Needing an idol.
inherently weaker,
Mm,
right? But
yeah.
if you're in a situation, there's certain circumstances where the numbers are against you in this way that Russell was. It's a little different. It's like he's using all the tools in his at his disposal. So it's a little different than someone who um had equal footing in whatever position they are in the game, and it's just like by virtue of an idol, that's the only reason they survived. Because that's some
Mhm.
management of your threat and how you're being perceived is not up to snuff. So I think it's a little different in Russell's case, but
Right. Right.
in general, obviously you don't want to need that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it definitely depends, but I'd say as a general rule, it definitely makes you the weaker player.
Mm-hmm. Um, Jason is super wealthy and successful now, and has also been to space. I think
What
I think I
really?
knew that at some point. I didn't know that now. And so
That's pretty cool.
you're
That's great.
enlightening me on
Good for
some
him.
postseason stuff I didn't have.
Mm,
This season brought back Rob C, who had stopped watching after Cook Island, and inspired him to make Rob Has a Podcast, which is what I talked about before. But I didn't know this is what like
oh wow.
kind of inspired him to come back.
Well, I mean, like kind of like what one of the previous people had said that like this was a big ratings bonanza for them,
Mm-hmm.
more up with Cook Islands. So that's been a while then since they've had a boon like that.
Yeah.
So
So
that got it back in. So
this next point is one I definitely wanted to touch on, which is Russell's
okay.
strategy to find idols without clues, which he's talked about to some extent, which is interesting. So first, he would look near landmarks like the well, the tribe flag, or the bridge. So he looked for landmarks. But secondly,
Sure.
which is more interesting, is that he would look in an area for 20 to 30 minutes and then try and read the camera person who was with him. So like since the camera people know where the idol is,
Fascinating.
so
Yes.
they're heavily instructed to get the shot of the person finding the idol. So if the camera person looked bored and put their camera down, he would move on to a different spot. So
Interesting.
so when they started focusing on him, he
Interesting.
knew he was in
Okay.
the right spot. So it's
Yeah.
like
I mean, hey, that
even
in and
more
of its
breaking it. Yeah.
that right there, even in and of itself, is a like. I can understand why people would even think that, like, oh, they're planting them for him, and it's
Right.
like, well, maybe it's just because he's like really good at reading the reading the people, the crew that are there.
So it
So,
looks, yeah, it looked like he's planning it for them.
mm,
Yeah.
hmm
He said, I have asked a couple times for you to do a runner up ranking, and I was mainly inspired to do that because I was curious where you'd rank Steven and Russell. So I'll just ask here, who do you think played the best runner up game of the first 19 seasons? You know, I was thinking this might be a good thing to do after like we go through 20 seasons, maybe do some like reflection retrospective videos like that, and it might be a time to do that.
yeah.
But
Mm.
if you were to answer that now, who would you think the best runner up game is?
Steven or Russell. So this is really interesting because,
There's others you could consider as well, like Boston Rob.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. This is really interesting because, I think both of them both played great games in very different ways. Because Russell was just dominant strategically, like control, like in terms of controlling presence. Masterminding the whole way of coming back from just four to being in the final three. We're all odds stacked against him. Um, but Steven and JT sort of working together. Yeah, that's really interesting. Because Steven was a great player too. He made a lot of great moves. Worked with JT to kind of weave their way through the whole season. I mean, I think the freshness makes me want to say Russell, but like I feel like I need to think about that for a little bit.
Mm, yeah.
Because coming to thinking about the social game, I would think that even Steven, even Steven,
Okay.
Steven, who took maybe some of the brunt of some of the more um, sort of backbiting or negative decision making, I still think he was probably more generally liked.
hmm
So as a social game, he probably played a better one. But I think as an overall, just general strategic and like metagaming, it's the metagaming really brings it to a whole other level
hmm
when it comes to Russell.
But Steven
Um,
didn't need an idol,
it's true, he didn't need an idol, but
and
Russell
they did
also.
come in without the numbers. Similar
Mhm,
situation with their little
yeah,
alliance. So it's interesting.
it's very true. But Russell was able to, as even though Russell rustled some feathers for the other tribe, he was instrumental in Shambo. Shambo really like trusted him. I mean, she voted for him in the end too.
hmm
Um, so like without Shambo, that whole plan wouldn't have really worked. So there is an aspect of the social game in that sense that he was able to manipulate and work. But
But Russell can always he can get to the end. Can he?
yeah,
Can he win though? Stevens
mm,
presumably could have won if he just won that final immunity. Also, apparently,
yeah,
people going into the final tribal were thinking of voting for him, and he just dropped the ball in the final tribal a little bit. So there's
mm,
definitely an argument there. You know, two solid runners up.
yeah,
Boston
yeah,
Rob is
yeah,
also a great runner up.
yeah.
You know, he's
I mean, I
similarly
think I
dominant.
I I like I despite Russell's clear advantages in a lot of ways. I am leaning Steven in that matchup. So yeah,
and stuff.
it's
But
hard to say.
it could be
Yeah.
fun to do some retrospective videos. Maybe I think maybe
Hmm.
after 20 seasons could be a fun time. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, and lastly, from Josh, do you care when the show edits someone out of the season like they did with Brett and Kelly, or do you think that it's a flaw in the show's storytelling? I mean, it's definitely a flaw.
I think it's a
The
flaw.
most beautiful
I think it's a flaw.
survivors when
Everybody
we
should
get
get
a sense of every piece on the board and where they're coming from.
everybody needs to get a little screen time. I mean, like, you play chess, you play with 16 pieces, right? You're not playing with just you get your pawns or your sacrifices oftentimes, but like or distractions from your main
Yeah,
your the main rest of everything else, but like
but you
is
see
it
the
16
positioning.
pieces or 20?
I think
It's
it's
20. Hold on.
52.
Two. It's- my brain. I'm trying to think of a chessboard. I think it's eight. Is it? I believe it's 8 by 8
I don't know. You're the
is the
expert.
array. I think is the array because like hold on, I'm trying to think. So it's like two rooks, two knights, two bishops, king, queen. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was right. Yeah, 16 pieces. So yeah, but you need to get a sense of like how many like you have a sense there how many
And
pieces
you get
and
to
like
lay
all
the
of
whole
them are
board.
useful in some way. Yeah. And all of them are useful in some way. Like even the sacrificial pawns like they get their moment in the sun even if
you
it's brief.
get the voted out
So it's
episode.
like yeah,
You never get a double either. You never get two in one episode for the pawns.
yeah. Yeah, what the hell is that? Is that like castling? Like what's going on?
That's checkers. You get that in checkers. But
No, castling's OP. Castling's in
yeah, yeah,
chess is great. It's when you don't move the rook or the king, and you move all the other pieces out of the way, and then they can swap
yeah.
positions. It's really fun. Yeah.
But yeah, that's like with what they do with Brett. Someone like Brett, it's like you're playing chess, and then suddenly you learn towards the end of the game there was a piece there all along. You didn't know he was in a
there
very
was a
powerful
there was a
position.
there was a bishop that you didn't know about that was just there all of a sudden.
It's
It's
like, oh, if you
like
don't make the right
okay,
move right here, he's actually just gonna win the whole thing. So yeah, like because literally with both cases, Kelly and Brett, it's just like we got to take their word for it. You're telling us and you're not showing us. It's like we didn't
right,
see Kelly's position. She just comes in and is literally the so the plot point of her being idled out so that Russell can have his moment. And it's like, I'll take your word
right.
for it that was a good choice. And then Brett comes in and it's like, man, he's gonna win this whole thing if we don't stop him. Okay, I guess so. It didn't
Right.
new player just enters the game in the final quarter. It's crazy.
The substitution at the end.
But it's
Yeah.
definitely a flaw. The best seasons are the most balanced. You get a little bit
Yeah.
of a bunch of people like with different, and you can see their perspectives. You don't always see that. It's not often you see it. Really, it's usually a couple people. But yeah, Rogue Merc said, "Do you think the players need to put aside personal feelings and vote purely on gameplay?"
So me, the me, the sort of like the even though you know I have elements of being an emotional person, but like I would. It's interesting because like I feel like there's things that I can be kind of petty about and kind of hold grudges against, but like me personally, I would try to vote for who I felt played the best game. I would try to keep personal feelings outside of it as much as possible. There's an element of that that's just there's always going to be some of that at play, but I would prefer to do it that way. Now that being said, I can't necessarily fault anybody for voting that way. Like I think there's merit to it's like yeah, he played a great game, but he screwed like all these other people over. Like and these people are like good and decent and they feel like really burned by whatever he did. So
Yeah,
it's like and I am going to be loyal to those people. Like that makes me feel bad for them that this happened to them. and I feel bad for that. So like I'm gonna be loyal to them, and I'm gonna vote with them for this other person. So like there's some give and take when it comes to some of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
there's a factor also where it's like you can easily see why it feels so much better to give Natalie $1 million than to give Russell $1 million.
yeah, right, right,
When you, especially, you know he doesn't need it. He hasn't given you any reason to believe that he needs it or would do any good with it. It's like you can. It's hard to really separate that too. And then yeah, just personal feelings, and then it's also a lot easier, of course, as a viewer to say that we would vote a certain way,
exactly,
and then you're in
exactly. When
there
you're in
and
the heat
it's
of the
like
moment, things are very different.
imagine it's
Things are
like
very different.
it's like a piece of shit boss that you hate. And it's like, am I gonna vote for him to win, or am I gonna vote for this nice lady
Right,
who's been nothing but nice to me? And it's like,
right, exactly.
let's be objective here. Uh,
Yeah, you get yeah. It's there's because like I like to tout objectivity is always to be pursued. I think that's always something that's good and to be adhered to. But like there's sometimes you can't deny the subjectivity
we all have
of something like
biases.
that.
You know, all have biases
We
at the end
all
of the
have
day.
biases. Yeah. Well, especially when you've been playing this game for like that
Yeah,
prolonged period of time, you know,
and it's
a
not a chess
month.
game.
Like yeah,
Literally
right.
playing with people, and it's like
Right.
you had a chance at $1 million, and it was cut short, probably because of this guy in some part. And he doesn't make you feel good about it either. He's also rubbing it in along the way, and it's like,
Yep.
damn,
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna sit here
We used to
and
chess
cuck myself, give you the money.
we used a chess metaphor, now we're breaking the chess metaphor. Boom.
You can see it both ways. It's a chess
Uh-huh.
with emotions in the mix. It's very emotional.
That's right.
Crying,
Yeah.
playing sex. You're playing sex.
Playing sex? Playing sex. All
There's sex.
right.
There's crying. There's anger. All in this game of
It's
chess.
it's all it's crazy. It's like life.
Here's a comment from Puka Puka Zero. Right.
That's a fun
I don't know
name.
if he's
That's a fun
commented
name.
on any of our previous episodes. First time I've seen his name, at least for the questions. He said, just a few for Alec. How does he feel that this is the first time the merge has happened at 12? Does he like bigger merges or smaller, like the classic 10? I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of early this time. I I think I prefer the smaller merges. Personally, well, I don't know. I think there's something to be said about both because, like, you if you're coming in 6-6, or if you were coming in like 7-5, that's very different as opposed to because we were coming in what 8-4, I guess is what we had.
Which seems like a
Um,
recipe for disaster, but yeah.
yeah,
Could have been 8-2. That would have been
yeah,
awesome.
8-2 would have been even better. Yeah, so maybe I do actually prefer the larger merge sizes. I don't know. I think there's something to be said about both.
Yeah.
It's very dependent on the season. It's very dependent on the some of the gimmicks, and it's also dependent on I think the sizes of the tribes coming in. It always tends to be more interesting the more evenly split it is. Because that means we've had a decent amount of time with both tribes. It means we get to know people on both sides, can have stakes in both tribe stories, and see where kind of everything kind of falls in when the merge shows up. Um, but we also get these fun, interesting underdog stories in cases like this where they're clearly disadvantaged, and yet they're still able to come in, and it's like the you know 4 for almost the whole rest of the show, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, a couple more questions. So, does he feel like the focus on idols this season, or does he like the focus on idols this season, or is it somewhat unfair that this is the new big thing instead of actually having the social strategy help you more in the game?
well, he didn't rely on them as much because I think he used them twice, so he didn't rely on them like completely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's interesting because like it almost wouldn't have been a focus or maybe not nearly as much of a focus if he hadn't just metagamed and found them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of to me, it's a weird anomaly where like this one guy is just going out and finding. He found him twice with no clues, and then once again with like a clue. So it's like he's like kind of breaking the game in a weird way, and that's fascinating. But like if it's way too much of a focus on idols outside of a scenario like this, where it's just like this one guy just being a weirdo,
Mm-hmm.
um, that might be to the detriment of the game. But like I didn't think so in the context in which they were at play here, just because of how well it all ended up playing out, where he just found it
Yeah,
every time.
like I was saying earlier, we could have gotten there if he had
Yeah.
used the idol again and just found it and used it again. It's okay.
Yeah,
What are we doing
it
here?
could. I think three's the charm. Three's the magic number for comedy. Three's the magic number for a lot of things. I think if we got into like four, it would have been like, okay, this is
It's
stupid.
like okay,
Like,
now the glue just getting taken out because they
yeah,
just keep. It's like we're trying to vote
right,
Russell out. Come on.
yeah,
But
yeah,
and the fun thing also is that they could have just voted him out the first vote if they got their act together
right,
instead of Eric. But
right,
they let him
right.
slide by with it, and then he used it when he needed to. And even then,
Hmm.
they could have put their votes on someone else, but they didn't even think about it like they should have. Like Monica brought up, maybe we should vote someone else. Literally like Natalie, and Natalie would have been voted out in that spot.
Yep.
Um, and then they would have even been worse in the numbers. So then it would counteracted the idols even more. So I mean, it helps that there was counterplay here, and it helps that
Mhm.
he was in an underdog position too. So and lastly, the last question we have from Puka Puka is for both of us. We kind of covered it, but how would you vote as a jury member? Would you feel like you had to vote for a player like Russell just because of the impressive performance he had, or vote for someone like Natalie because how she treated you and had a better relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, it is easy as an audience member to say that I would probably vote for Russell. It'd be a lot harder to say if I'm in the game and I've been burned and I've gotten to know these people, and like maybe there's some feelings that I have that like similar to Russell or similar to people like Brian or Richard Hatch, where it's like I'm just there, not here to make friends. I'm just here to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
Per se, I that might happen. I don't necessarily know. I might end up really enjoying my time with these with people. I'm not like a super I tend to be pretty selective in terms of like friend groups. I don't have like tons and tons of friends. Um, but if I'm stuck in a place for with a lot of people, it's like you got to have some sort of socialization with some of them in
And
order
you're
to make it
stuck there
work for
for a
them
month and
most of
with
the
no
time.
one else. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I'm there that long, and if I'm in the jury and I'm having to vote for somebody, it's like you know if I'm an early jury, I have at least time to process some of that stuff, to kind of sort my feelings out. But if I'm like one of the last members of the jury, it's like that might be a little bit more raw, a little bit more like I kind of want to be a little bit more vindictive about it. But um, yeah, it is hard to say. I like to think that game appreciates game, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it is admittedly difficult to say that
Yeah.
without being there.
I've always said I would definitely not be bitter. I would like go out of my way to make sure I wasn't bitter in every way. But some people make it easier than others. Like someone like Todd, who played a pretty dominant game, a lot easier to vote for him than Russell.
Right.
He's not like
Yeah.
he's not like talking down to you. He's not like
Right.
these certain characteristics that make it difficult to vote for Russell in that spot.
Mm,
Yeah, so I would like to think I would hear Natalie out, and if she had established that she had a more like conscious strategy and what she was doing was a conscious decision rather than just like happy to be here, and then I would be more likely to vote for her, especially
yeah.
considering like probably would like her more personally, and Yeah, but I'd like to think I'll vote for who I think deserves, but I don't even know. Like, just imagine the look on Russell's face, how different it would have been if he actually knew he'd won coming in, just like rubbing it
Yeah.
in everybody's face the whole reunion. It would have been, and I'd have to
Oh.
sit there and just take it like you
It just would have
losers,
been
you idiots,
insufferable.
just and
Yeah.
he just have nothing to hold back at that point, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how I would feel, but
Yeah.
so I don't know. I can't give you an answer on that. You know, I can say that I would vote objectively, but I can't put myself there. It's very different. It's very
Hmm.
different. And but also again, like we are seeing the confessionals too, which is his meaner stuff
Right.
also. So it's
Right.
like
Right.
I
So how
would,
much of that?
if
How
it's
much?
like jurors talking shit, like I would try my best to not let that just like ruin someone's
Yeah.
reputation, but you know.
Right. Because it's like there's you always have to take that with a grain of salt because it's like you know
Yeah.
if people can be real sour grapes, real easy to be sour grapes. So when you're there,
Yeah.
so
That's it for the questions and the comments. Thanks everybody. You brought a lot of
all right.
interesting layers to the discussion for sure.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
All right, so we're updating the list live from last time. I didn't carry over the changes, so here's what he had said from after last season. Number 1, Boston Rob. Number 2, Rupert. Number 3, Rob Sesternino. Number 4, Suri. Number 5, Todd. Number 6, Steven. Number 7, Jonathan Penner. Number 8, Richard Hatch. Number 9, Johnny Fairplay. Number 10, Yao Man. Yeah, Stephanie's not even on it anymore. Get her off
Yeah.
it.
I
9
fell out of
men and
love
one
with.
woman in the top 10. But so, first of all, I'll ask, is there anyone from this season that will be added into the top 10?
Uh,
Basically, I'm asking, is Russell make the cut of your top 10
does
or
Russell
not?
make the cut? Is the real question here. Because it's interesting because like maybe before we sort of started breaking it down, I would have said yes.
Hmm.
Kind of the more we've talked about it,
You're out.
the less
You're out
convinced
on
I
him.
am.
You're not voting for him anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the less convinced I am that I would include him on this top 10. Like maybe there's a case that I would put him around Yao Man's position, but I think that's about as high as he can go. Am I willing to take Yao Man off?
And where does Mick go? How does Mick go? You think?
uh, so I think I am gonna put him number 10.
Number 10, Yao Man's out. Russell's in.
Yeah.
The little
Um,
devil.
and the reason for that is I was thinking of like iconic moments. I was thinking Yao Man finding the idol, but I was like, this guy. I mean, Yao Man's just very entertaining. I really like him a lot. He's a very personable person. But like Russell breaking the game like broke my mind.
Hmm.
Like it just blew my mind that he did it like quite like 2 times in a row. And then he he's just again over edit of him of the season really like makes him stick in your mind. So obviously there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
things to like to sort of refer to or quote, but I think that makes him entertaining to watch consistently throughout the whole season. And I think with that in and of itself, that makes him like that just makes him fun. That just makes it fun to sort of watch. Um, and having him do this sort of underdog play that he was able to kind of scrape his way back in, def- defying all odds, and then coming in as runner up. You know, runner up I think is the best he could probably do given some of the circumstances, all the stuff we sort of covered as we've talked about here, based on a lot of different things. But like that's still pretty incredible. That's still a pretty incredible run he's able to do that, particularly for somebody that was just a demon of chaos in the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that you would never expect comes in and just like breaks the whole game.
And hey,
It's just absolutely
he got
fascinating.
$100,000 for being runner up, and
Yeah,
$100,000 for being fan favorite, which was pretty much rigged for him
yeah,
from
yeah,
ever since he
yeah,
left the
yeah.
So
Big time.
not
Yeah.
bad, not bad. $200,000.
So
You don't need the money. He wants the title. Not
yeah,
getting the title though. She won't
yeah. Nope. Get
give
out of
it
here.
over. But it's interesting because I don't know my top 10 at this point. 19 seasons of Survivor, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking maybe I would have Coach over Russell. I don't know, but I think
I think there's a case to be made there too, but like I left Coach off, and like
he's one of those weird ones
maybe
where
we'll
it's
see.
like he's not self-aware, so it's not like you're not really rooting for him, but it's like you're
He's
rooting
just,
for Coach, but he's just an all-time character.
but he's just fascinating. He's just a fascinating individual,
Yeah,
like in general. Like
yeah.
it's just you need to be examined by science or something. Like I don't know.
I'm
I don't
sure
know
he has
I don't
been.
know what's wrong.
I'm sure he has
I'm
been.
sure he
I
has.
was abducted by aliens, and they
Yeah.
were talking about my ass, about eating my
Yeah.
ass. So
About eating my ass.
so and now with the rest of it, do you anything you want to change with this 10, the
No,
order or anything?
I think the order here is pretty accurate. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's a correct order.
it's a pretty good bunch. It's a pretty good bunch.
Mm,
Trying to think of who I might have included that you haven't.
yeah.
And the,
Coach
yeah,
is a good one. Coach is really close, legitimately. Like he's easily top 15. Um
Susie Smith comes to mind from Survivor Gabon, runner up and Queen Icon. More votes than Russell this season here, so
yeah.
that's pretty telling. The legend status. She got 4 votes. Right? Was it
That's
4 votes? I
that's
think
crazy.
3 votes.
That is that is actually crazy to
So
think about.
you tell me who's the better Survivor player. But I do like Parvati, Amanda. You know,
Mm.
pour some sugar on
Yeah,
me.
interesting. Huh, you know? It's interesting that I don't have them on here. I think I might need to reassess later down the
Check your
line.
biases,
Yeah,
Alec.
I mean,
It's a sausage fest in
Parvati
here.
poverty really
Poverty,
needs to be in here.
Poverty probably shouldn't be in the
Poverty.
top 10, but Poverty might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poverty
Yeah,
bottom
I agree with that
10,
too.
not good. Don't
Not
like
good. Not
Poverty.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. So on to the rankings. Next week we'll come back and we'll rank the season. We'll rank the winner, and we'll rank the cast as well. The cast of Survivor
Yeah,
Samoa.
put a little bow. We're still not quite done with the season yet. We'll put a little bow on it next week
Yes.
and do all the rankings.
And the week after that, we're going to reveal the cast of Survivor Heroes versus Villains right here on the show. And then
That'll be
we're going to
fun.
get into it. The 20th season of Survivor. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun.
That's gonna be really good. It's gonna be real good.
So, dude, thank you very much for all the comments, very thoughtful comments, and thanks for commenting along the way.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
there's
thanks a lot for everybody who always participates in these. It's always a really great time to hear from everybody and hear what people have to say about this
yeah,
fun, silly, great game.
and there's a lot of feelings. Every season we get some feelings. This one especially has a lot of feelings. But if I know a lot of you have been leaving comments along the way. We really haven't got to get to them because we haven't done a podcast in a while. But next podcast we do, which will probably be in a couple weeks, I'll try to go through any of those that haven't been covered on what we talked about today, and I'll bring them up as well because we always bring up our comments on there. So thank you for watching, and in the meantime, I'm going to recommend a random Tarqaron video for you to watch next.
Random rules, Zach. Random rules.
That's right. So if you enjoyed this, why don't you go check out our reaction to the finale of Survivor Thailand? We brought him up. We evoked his name, and he has been summoned.
I was being. I was. I felt. I seem to remember being extremely deflated during that
These
whole
are the last
finale.
two people you didn't want. Yeah, you didn't want them. Like, I guess I'll root for Jan now in the final three.
Yeah. Yeah.
No shot.
Like, what does this come to? What does this come to? The fact that that's who I was cheering for.
Brian and Clay, final two. The best episode of the season, though, by the way, it's Survivor Thailand.
And actually, I think it
It
is.
is
I
the
think it
awesome.
is
Remember
the
the
best
awesome final
episode.
immunity challenge where they're in this like hot ass cave. They got coins
Oh
between their
yeah,
fingers.
that's really cool.
Straight up
Actually,
torture
yeah.
device we got going on. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was Brian competing against Clay and an old lady, so it wasn't as epic as it comes off. Chin a new shot.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, check that out. And in over 6 years of Tarqaron, there's a lot of Survivor
Yeah.
that you can check out.
Lots.
ZachArcher.net/Survivor for all the seasons if you want to go through that way, or we got a playlist on the channel with everything and separate playlists for each season too. And yeah, we thank you for joining us. And again, one more Survivor Samoa video, and then we're on to the next. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.